There's never been a better time than now to stop what you're doing and tune in to Straight Up, TAB Radio's weekly podcast that will guide you through the difficult journey that is the punt. Whether it be racing or sport, the Straight Up team has your back. Now, from the studios of TAB Radio, welcome to Straight Up.
Thank you, Trevor, and a very good afternoon, Rylie Morgan.
Very good afternoon, Marty Young.
I can tell you wanted to know the score in the Sheffield Shield final in front of 472,000 fans crammed into that little ground that only holds 5,000 people. The Queensland Bulls, they were good first innings, 95 they made. The Test batsmen were very good.
I can't remember when I asked for that score, mate.
The South Australian men then made 271, and Queensland, wanting to get it all over and done with as quick as they can, are 3 for 150. So they've still got 245, 26 runs to make, and they're 3 wickets down. They can turn this around.
Yep. Big moment today for Jake Lehmann as well.
Yes.
100, Sheffield Shield final.
Yep. Great effort.
Terrific knock, and plenty of news breaking today.
Well,
across the board, Mark.
Let's make it a news-breaking 5 minutes before we go to Albany, and then we've got Pakenham. There's a very good assistant coach, Daniel Siracusa. He can whip these Bombers into shape tonight, and they'll be winning. But first off, let's get some breaking news.
Well, breaking news is that Vin Cox has given Yulong Investments a 6 months notice of resignation following a difference of opinion on strategic directions and values. His official statement reads as follows: I have given my 6 months notice of resignation from Yulong following differences in opinion on strategic values, on strategic direction and values. I want to thank the exceptional team and clients I've had the privilege to work with. I do not wish to make any further comment.
Jesus, massive news that, isn't it? Particularly the way Yulong are currently performing and what their future looks like. Reading his statement, I can get strategic direction. Values is a very ambiguous word to be using in an exit notice like that.
Very
an exit
ambiguous
statement. Yeah, so obviously,
it's a statement that's going to have the racing world talking, isn't it? It's going to generate a lot of discussion and interest, particularly
what could
with
it
the
be?
use of the word values. That's the big one, isn't it?
Definitely is. As I say, strategic direction, well, that happens all the time, and you have always, different people having different ideas about where your business should be heading, but to throw in values to that collection and makes everyone be saying, well, what is he on about? What values does he not like that Mr. Zhang and Zulong obviously hold very close to their business, which is all conquering at the moment, isn't it?
It's the biggest racing conglomerate in Australia at the moment. You would think they've overtaken Godolphin.
Oh, they would have. Yeah, definitely. And shaping up to have another massive day at Rose Hill. Just before we get to your next big story as well, and I said this earlier on, we're already on a soft 5 at Rose Hill. They could have up to 80 mil of rain in the next 2 days, even up to 100 mil of rain in the next 2 days. So if you're doing your form for Rose Hill, because when I looked at this at the start of the week, I thought, oh, gee, there's some good things here. And now you just go, pump the brakes.
Do your heavy track form.
Noah Bolter, what's the story there?
Facing jail time after
What?
pleading guilty following a December assault incident, and the footage of that assault has been made publicly available as of a bit earlier today, and his sentencing will come 2 games or 2 weeks after his allowed return to playing football for Richmond.
I've just seen it. It's just up there on Fox Footy. Stop it.
I honestly, it's a tricky one, but I expected the vision to be a little more graphic and damning than that. He almost just bowls the bloke over it.
Bowls him over. Obviously, there's some sort of an argument, disagreement.
You see that happening.
He probably gets 4 or 5 into that. Now we're not at any stage or form making excuses for him. And any assault deserves, the full the law to come down on them as strongly as they can. But to say you're going to get jail time for that, for what goes on in Australia and the world at the moment, is mind-boggling.
Largely, that's exactly what we were both getting at.
You can run around with a machete over there in Victoria, and that's okay, although she's going to eventually make them illegal. Imagine you go into a hunting shop and said, I just need 4 machetes, thanks. What are you doing? Going out getting some wild pigs.
It's a strange world, Mart.
Is it ever?
As you and I well know.
Now, what about racing here at Ascot on Saturday before we have Russ come in and we go through these fields? Are you happy about the look of the meeting?
Yes.
Confidence levels? Geez, you had a good day last week, 4 winners.
Yeah, it was a good day, but I would say the confidence levels are stronger heading into this weekend, which generally goes one of 2 ways, and it hasn't always gone the way intended in the past, going into a meeting with this much confidence, Mart.
Oof.
But in saying that, you do have to back yourself in.
Supremacy Stakes, always an important race for those 2-year-olds. So we'll be talking about that in full, and also we'll be having a look at the Rock Magic Stakes.
McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Mickey McGuane, goal of the year.
Mick McGuane joins us on Straight Up for this AFL preview thanks to Dankz Furniture.
You won't see better than that.
With 6 local stores in the metro area, there's one near you.
Yes, Mickey McGuane opening up for Dankz Furniture, the comfort of home, on this Thursday edition of Straight Up, round number 3, getting underway a little bit later on this evening with the Bombers and the Powers. We welcome in our man, Mickey McGuane. Mickey, very good afternoon to you.
Yeah, g'day, Riley. Beautiful day over here. Can't wait for tonight's game. It'll be a beauty.
It is going to be a beauty, and it's there's a lot riding on tonight's game, Mick, particularly for the Bombers. And I was taking a look at an article you penned in today's Herald Sun about the Bombers, Mick, which I'm sure might have ruffled a few feathers over your neck of the woods, with perhaps how the goalposts have maybe moved and the language has changed around where Essendon's list is at off the back of what they've been able to produce over the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, we just went down the path of, I was a little bit confused in relation to the narrative coming out of Bomberland. When you look at what they've achieved under Brad Scott, they've had 2 11-win seasons. They recruited 4 really experienced players to bolster their stocks, because I thought they were thinking they were in the strike position to challenge for a top 8 or even a top 4 position on the ladder. And then in the space of losing 11 out of their last 13 games, or 9 out of their last 11 games, the narrative's subtly changed. And I'm just asking myself, why is that the case? And I don't like it, because I just think after round 2, if you sell that narrative to the greater, wider community, it's asking for your supporters to be patient. Let's face it, they've been extremely patient. But what it does to the psychology of the players, those on their current list, do they not have faith in us? We're in a rebuild. How would their skipper, Zach Merritt, feel right now? After round 2, when he's played his guts out the week before in a 60-point loss when he's had 36 and kicked 4.
He's shouldering a monster load, isn't he?
Yeah, we are. And you go back, and I didn't write it in the article, but I remember after round 11, there was an article penned by the Herald Sun on a Sunday, and Champion Data at that stage, after round 11, they looked at the number of elite and above-average players at their club. Essendon had 4 in the elite category, and Zach Merritt wasn't one of them. And they had 8 in the above-average category. They were second on the table behind GWS, who had 14 players, 4 and 10. So based on performance midstream of 2023, they were tracking all right. And I thought, well, they beat Hawthorn in his first game as coach in round 23. They beat Hawthorn the first game in round 24. This year they lose to them. one club we're talking about a premiership threat, and the other club was in rebuild in the space of that period of time. I'm a little bit confused in terms of the narrative that's coming out of Essendon. That's the reason why I try to delve pretty deep into the archives and have a pretty firm opinion that that's not the case, or shouldn't be.
When you look at it, or you put it like that, Mick, 2 11-win seasons in a row, it doesn't sound that bad, but it just seems, from my standpoint, that in this era, in the Scott era at the Bombers, they've just shown this inconsistency and inability to be able to defend opposition teams enough throughout the season to put themselves in a position to be able to play finals football and win enough games to play finals football.
Yeah, and that was a part of the article as well, that Scotty's completed 12 seasons as senior coach, whether it be at North Melbourne or Essendon. Obviously, this year don't count yet, but he's only had a team in 2014 when he was coaching North to finish in the top 6 in their defensive ratings. Now, every premiership in that same period of time has been won by a team that's been in the top 6, and that was the same that year. So in every other year, you're looking in separate, isolated years, Scotty's teams have been in the bottom 4 or 5 when it comes to what their defensive profile looks like. That, to me, is a massive concern. He can identify the issues. He's been there 3 years. 2 years last year, they were ranked 15th in defending transition, 15th for points against, and more or less 16th the year before. So one thing we do know that's a fairly significant sample size of 12 years under Scott's coaching is it a bit all duck, no dinner. Heavy reliance on attack, but not much in defence, and that's the reason why they're not playing finals footy. Until he fixes it, that'll be the case.
And it's a terrific article. So to our listeners that are or have got a subscription to the Herald Sun, I would suggest you go and take a look at it. It is a beauty, and it's also a nice segue into the game tonight to kick off round number 3. It's a massive game for the Bombers at home, isn't it, Mick? And they do go in as underdogs at $2.20 with Tab Touch. Port Adelaide $1.68 are favourites. The line is at 5.5 and the total points 182.5. And they are under the roof at Marvel, which is where they have shown a tendency to play their best football. But, gee, they are after a big response off the back of last week's performance against the Crows.
Yeah, and some would say the beauty of it, they've only got 5 days to get into action after their disappointing loss to Adelaide. So sometimes the players are not sitting on the negativity for too long a period. So you get back to work, and sometimes that's a really good thing from a player's perspective. And let's face it, their pressure was abysmal last week. To allow Adelaide 115 UCMs, uncontested marks, was disgraceful. And then to allow them to transition, more or less walk down the ground and score 62 of their 161 points from defensive transition, their back-to-front ball movement was exquisite. And unfortunately for Essendon, they could not defend it. So I'm looking to see an immediate response, not dissimilar to St Kilda's response when they got tore apart by Adelaide. A lack of pressure. Ross Lyon said that in his press conference. And look what they did in the space of 7 days. They really got in the face of Geelong. Their first half in terms of pressure was outstanding, and it got them their victory. So I'm looking for that type of response from Essendon tonight. The question is, will we get it, and for how long?
Essendon, the underdogs heading into that game this evening, $2.20 with Tab Touch. The Friday night game, another big one, Carlton taking on the Bulldogs. Carlton looking to avoid beginning the season 0-3, and some big news out of the Blues, obviously, today, Mick, with Harry Mackay to miss tomorrow night with personal reasons, and is no guarantee to return to the side next week either. So a pretty bitter blow for the Blues heading into what is a massive game for them in the scheme of their season.
Yeah, it's a big out, isn't it? Gee, they're desperate to get the 2 big forwards get back playing together. So if it's Curnow out, it's Mackay playing. If it's Curnow playing, it's Mackay out. They just can't get that twin combination going. And they desperately need them the way they play. Strong around clearance, win it, first possession, play territory, get it into your forward line. Please one of you key forwards mark it so we can kick a goal. That's what we're not seeing. So maybe it's just an opportunity to change their method going inside 50, go more shorter, smaller, quicker, more hybrid. And maybe they might be able to manufacture depleted Western Bulldogs, who are favourites and probably on form deserve to be that way. But I'm intrigued to see Carlton, how they go as well.
Mick, are they capable of adapting their game style? Because a lot of the attention put on or put into Carlton and how they've started the season this week has been around the fact that they're not a great kicking team.
No, I've said that for 3 or 4 years now, Rylie, over here. I'm pretty strong on my view that good kickers separate games of footy, and if that's the case, they find a way. But sometimes you look at their sort of entry into forward 50, exiting out of D50, just simple kicks, missed targets. I'm with you. I'm a bit like Essendon is the same in terms of their kicking profile. Just the kicking efficiency's got to be around 70% plus in AFL footy if you want to actually push the best teams. But these clubs who fuel the opposition's turnover game because of the turnover that shouldn't have happened, that's one thing they've got to remedy, because let's face it, 70%, 65% of your total score generally comes from the turnover game. And if you're fueling the opposition due to poor kicking or execution or decision-making, it's going to cost the scoreboard dearly.
The Bulldogs go in as favourites, $1.80. Is that the way you're going tomorrow night?
Yeah, I've tipped them.
Okay, so Bulldogs on top for Mick there in tomorrow night's blockbuster. First of the Saturday games, Melbourne taking on the Suns. Melbourne 205 go in as underdogs and have been very easy in the betting. Gold Coast have been hammered. They're into $1.77. The line at 2.5. The total points 168.5.
Yeah, this is an intriguing game. You've got a team that's still got a question mark whether they can travel and perform. And then you've got a Melbourne team that were just totally blown out of the park by an emerging North Melbourne last week. So I'm intrigued here at the MCG. We know Gold Coast hardly visit the MCG. They probably spent more holidays there as kids rather than playing there as players. And Melbourne, on the other hand, there's a question over, is their group sort of got to a point where they can't deliver any more than what we've seen over the last 4 or 5 years? So an emerging team in Gold Coast on the road, question mark. The team that's got a question mark with the love affair that we've heard from their environment over summer. It's all been patched up. It's a love affair there right now. But it's time to roll up their sleeves and get hard and get tough and get aggressive to say that last week was an aberration. Will we see that? Who knows? It's
time to announce themselves, the Suns, and they get a great opportunity to do so at the MCG on Saturday. St Kilda take on Richmond. You'd anticipate off their performance last Saturday night, they'll get the job done. $1.22 favourites. Richmond $4.30, 27.5 the line, and the total points 174.5.
Yeah, I think Richmond's energy will certainly come to the game, but gee, if St Kilda can replicate what they presented, particularly in that first 2.5 quarters against Geelong, I think they'll force Richmond into error and they'll go back at their front half at speed and be able to hit the scoreboard. I was really impressed in the coach's box what Ross Lyon delivered from a match-up perspective, controlling the ball and more or less defending with the footy, not bombing it into their interceptors, used the arc, changed angles, changed lanes, and they entered their forward 50 when they needed to and got the right ball in the right option's hands. And it was well orchestrated, the players delivered it, and that's when you know you've got a good coach-player relationship, when they listen and they applaud the strategy and the tactics that they put in place through training it. And I'm expecting St Kilda, probably from a head-to-head perspective, the $1.20 that you probably can get to put them in a multi, and they should increase your percentage, what you may return if you get it right.
Yeah, they were terrific last week. The Saints, expecting them to be too strong for the Tigers. Couple of games to round out Saturday, both of them in the conversation for game of the round. Brisbane take on Geelong at the Gabba off the back of a game and a hard-fought win in the end, played in some pretty tough humid conditions up there against West Coast last Sunday. They're $1.50 favourites, Geelong at $2.60, 11.5 points the line there. The total points 153.5. Fascinating clash, this one, Mick.
Well, it is, and I just think the margin in both these games you mentioned, the outsider, gee, the discrepancy's great, isn't it? GWS, we know, are an outstanding team, and I don't know what the selection table is going to look like once it's confirmed, but if Hogan and Stringer both come in and announce themselves, firepower in front of the ball, that'll be a great challenge against Hawthorn's defenders that they've got now. You've got Briggs coming out of concussion protocols. He'll make a significant stoppage game. And if they want to bring some speed in and look at Harvey Thomas and Brent Daniels, gee, it's not a bad mixture that they could bring into that team to add strength to it. And we know Hawthorn's an outstanding team that can only probably get stronger in a way because Warple's a couple of weeks away. Bruce, does he come in like-for-like inclusion because Connor McDonald's out with that ankle that he rolled last week? Or do they look at a young kid in Henry Huswaite who had 30 and 11 clearances at Box Hill last week? So He got some decisions to make, both clubs at the selection table, but on face value, until I know the exact teams, GWS look enticing just to have a small investment in the head-to-head stakes around that $2.60, $2.70 mark.
I'm with you, Mick. I think there's some good value there with the Giants, and I am similar to you, Mick, very strong on the Hawks and have been from the start of the season, but I'm just not yet completely sold on them at this very early stage. Been very impressed with what I have seen, but I'm not yet completely sold on the Hawks at this stage.
Yeah, I sort of tipped them to win the premiership. I thought it'd be a Hawthorn GWS Grand Final in the early crystal ball predictions. They play each other down in Tasmania at the University of Tas. So we'll have to wait and see what the result looks like, how the game sort of plays out. But on face value, if we're having a bet, in terms of value, I'd certainly gravitate to GWS, particularly if the inclusions that I mentioned all come into the team.
A couple of Sunday games. Adelaide take on North Melbourne, who were terrific in that second half against the D's last week. Adelaide $1.10 favourites at home, no surprise there. North Melbourne $6.50. The line 39.5, that seems generous, and the total points 188.5, expecting a high-scoring clash.
Yeah, that's the way probably to have a crack at. I reckon maybe the total score over could be a way of investing in this game. The simple way is to get Adelaide into a multi. I think they'll win and win well, even though I was super impressed with North Melbourne's performance against Melbourne last week. So I'm tipping at Adelaide, and we won't spend much time on it. I think they'll be winning, so put them in a multi. And if you've got some courage, maybe the over 39.5 points bracket could be an option as well. And before we leave the Saturday game, in terms of V, I reckon that Geelong game with Brisbane up there too, just to touch on that, Riley. Geelong, once again, looks like Tom Stewart will play. He's on the plane, so is Bailey Smith on the plane. So they're significant players that they could obviously get stronger with Stewart playing, and also Bailey Smith maybe coming back into the team. He missed last week due to that calf. And then Brisbane, on the other hand, they've got a couple of real intriguing decisions to make around Charlie Cameron and young Lohman, who was brilliant in the grand final last year. They have to pass fitness tests, and if they come in there, they're going to make their scoring power greater. But once again, on face value, Geelong were good odds. I think they'll respond. They would have got a lot of learnings out of last week, and they don't mind jumping on a plane to travel. They're a pretty good team when they're at their absolute best, and we know that if they do play at their best, they're more than capable of beating any team anywhere and any place. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one, but the value lies with Geelong. And then we got the big one to finish, West Coast Eagles and Fremantle. I was disappointed in Fremantle last week. I thought they were good things against the Sydney Swans. We said that on the program last week, and obviously you've got a couple of concerns with a couple of players. Brandon Walker won't play with that shoulder. Who comes in to replace him? Does Jake Waterman get up? I don't know what you may know, but they're certainly looking to get him back in the team, and if they do, it's going to add to their scoring power in that front half, and let's hope he does get up because we want a good spectacle.
We haven't heard any news yet regarding Jake Waterman, but reading between the lines, more unlikely than likely, I would say, Mick, to take his place in the Derby on Sunday. Would only add another element of interest off the back of West Coast's performance in Brisbane last weekend. I know it was pretty tough conditions up there, so that would have been a big week of recovery and not much time spent on the track, but Fremantle were, as you mentioned, Mick, very disappointing, and it's an easy word to use, I feel, in football sometimes, but they just looked so vanilla with the way they went about that game last weekend against Sydney.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just love them when they play with an aggressive mindset right from the get-go. And let's not hide away from facts. Here's a team that everyone thinks they're going to be a part of the top 8, and I certainly think they've got the talent to be that. But here's a team who lost their last 4 last year and they lost their first 2 this year. That losing mentality can seep into players, and the self-doubt can certainly raise its ugly head. They must get a win, and this might be the circuit breaker they need to kickstart their 2025 season by beating the arch enemy over there, and what a crowd it'll be.
It will, and there'll be plenty of feeling in that game to round out this weekend's action, no doubt about that. Mick, did we have a little multi-play for our listeners across this round of football before we take a look at the Kilmore Trots?
Yeah, I'm sort of gravitating to an underplay total score, Carlton and Western Bulldogs, and the market's around the 172, 174 mark. I reckon that's not a bad play. Adelaide, we can talk about being conservative, but I reckon they'll win by over 15.5, so the try line might be enticing there. I think St Kilda, throw them in, simplistic, head-to-head, boost your multi-value up. And I think Fremantle, definitely put them in. I think they'll bounce back and beat their arch rival there on Sunday. And that Brisbane Lions and Geelong game, The unders and overs is quite enticing there, and I reckon that'll go over. So that'll boost your multi up, and I reckon it can equate to around the $6.50 to $6.60 mark. And I think that's a pretty good investment over the 5 games, and I think we can get a collect on the back of that.
Beautifully done. Yeah, nice little multi there. The unders in the Carlton Dogs game. Adelaide head-to-head, St Kilda head-to-head, Fremantle head-to-head in the overs, 153.5 total points in the Brisbane Geelong game. That'll get you to just over $6 here with Tab Touch, a nice multi to follow through the course of the weekend. Mick, we know you need to get to footy training, but do you have any winners for us at the Kilmore Trots this evening?
Yeah, I've done the form there this morning, Riley, and I think there might be a couple of early plays we can have. I'm pretty keen on race 1, number 3, on an each-way basis. I wouldn't be surprised if this horse spears straight to the front over the short trip at Kilmore, and then probably Annalise Scott's got a decision to make, because I reckon 5 will come humming out of the gate as well for Alex Ashwood. So irrespective how the race sets up, if Rocket Me wants to keep the front, I think it'll outrun its odds. They put up $21. It won't be that. I reckon if you can get around $9 on an each-way basis, that's not a bad play. But if you want to back each of 2, I reckon you can back 3 and also save your stake on number 5 and make them both winners. I just think the race sets up perfectly that way. In race 4 on the program, it's a tricky race. Number 3, Hurricane Dusty, is the obvious favourite. Gee, it's skinny in the marketplace. They put it up $2. It'll probably drift to around $3, $3.20, I would have thought. And I thought the value lies in a couple of horses on the front row that are drawn middle pin. Number 5, Yankee Mojo, is $17 for Jackie Barker. I reckon that's overs. I reckon that'll trim up closer to race time. And the other one I want to have something on is Foxy on the Run, number 6 at $7.50. So I can back each of 2 there just to knock over the more favoured runners, particularly number 3, who's short and taken up too much percentage of the marketplace, and even number 9, I think a G Sugars factor is brought it up short within reason, $3.20 out to $4.20. So I could really be in the corner of number 5 and 6, and I'll be certainly watching the market for number 10, Shallow Beach. Ian McMahon, Julie Missed, this horse flies at Kilmore, so if there's good late money for it, I'd certainly be enticed there to have a saving bet on it. The most intriguing run of the night, Riley, is the next race, race 5, number 10. I reckon it's its race. And Steve Matson, as we know, he can set a horse up, particularly at home. It looks its race. Number 8 will be favourite and deservedly so. I think they're the 2 obvious chances. She's a Blues Chip with G Sugars is $2.50, and Conspirators around the $12 mark. And if that horse trims up late in the betting, you know it's get on time. So I'd suggest you have a look at that and probably bet late. And if there is good market, I'm prepared to take the $8 as opposed to $12, knowing the money's arrived. And then in race 7 on the program, I think this is quite an intriguing race. Another one that has some interest from a betting perspective. I want to have something on Parlez-vous Paddy, race 7, number 5 for G Sugars. I'm pretty confident this trotter will win this race. It's a maiden trot, so enter at own risk. You know they can jump out of their gate quickly, but I think Parlez-vous Paddy will be very hard to beat. And if you're still awake and things are going okay and we're back to winner, just have $10 each way on the last. Race 9, number 5, I reckon $61 is well and truly over the odds, and we might be able to find a horse that'll run well, outrun its odds. There's an odds-on favourite from Emma Stewart at $1.30. It's ridiculously short, but it might be the winner. But I'll tell you one thing, number 5 trialled okay, and it's going to outrun its odds at $61. So that might be something for our listeners, and hopefully we can get it home and we can have a drink over the weekend, eh?
Yeah, fingers crossed, Mick. Some beautiful weather over the weekend over here in the west, and sounds like there's some nice weather over in your neck of the woods in Melbourne as well. We'll rehash those selections at Kilmore tonight. Race 1, number 3 each way. Race 4, number 5 and number 6. Race 5, number 10. Race 7, number 5, and a bit of value at big odds to round out, maybe $5 or $10 each way. Race 9, number 5. Mickey McGuane brought to us here on TAB Radio on Straight Up, courtesy of Dankz Furniture, the comfort of home. Beautifully done, Mick. We'll chat again next week.
Good on you, Riley. Have a great weekend and enjoy the footy.
McGuane gets past Brown. They're lifting the pies. They can sense it. McGuane's had 5 bounces. Nearly get another one. Round he goes. In he goes to an open goal. Mickey McGuane, goal of the year.
Mick McGuane joins us on Straight Up for this AFL preview thanks to Dankz Furniture.
You won't see better than that.
With 6 local stores in the metro area, there's one near you.
The Perth Racing Preview is where the Straight Up team finds you the winners, and here's the Straight Up team with their preview of Saturday racing from Ascot.
Yes, and welcome along to Russell Collett.
G'day, mate.
How are you, Rusty?
Always good. Love to hear TJ's voice there.
That's always good,
He's
isn't
a beauty.
it? It's nostalgic.
It is. He's a ripper.
Trev. Hey, Rusty, how are you?
Good, mate. How are you, mate?
Good, going well. Better for seeing you.
Last time I saw you, Icebergs was winning, and I saw you the big, broad smile there at Ascot.
Oh,
Things have changed.
It's not often you have a...
Things have changed already.
It doesn't last long, does
No,
it, Russ?
it does
Mate, it's a
not.
long time, a couple of weeks in racing.
Yeah.
How you been?
Yes,
Everyone good?
Good.
We're
Up
all
and
well,
about.
mate. We're all
We're
here.
up and
That's
about.
good.
That's the main thing.
Now, tell us about the Retrovision text line.
Oh, it's going off already.
Yes,
It
come on,
is.
hit us with
It's
some of your
going off,
best.
Yeah, so
I've
we
been stirring them up.
Now, we do have to send our best birthday wishes to loyal listener of the program, Dwayne Duppy Dupster. Duppy's 47th birthday today.
Well done, Dup.
So well done to Dwayne on making it to 47 big ones. There's been a
Very
few
good.
hairy moments along the way, but he's got there. So well done to Dwayne. And Dwayne's good mate Dutchy, who we have on the show.
Dutchy,
Dutchy's he's messaged in as well. He's sending his birthday wishes to the Dubstar. From what he heard, there were a few oysters and clams with the peng last
What?
night for
That's
the
dangerous.
Dubstar, and things got a bit out of hand when the peng said he preferred his with a beard.
I would have thought clean shaven for the peg, to be honest, with his previous record.
Oh, no.
And the punters are up in arms about
What's
the
happened?
fact that with McGinnity off having his surname maintenance over the next few weeks, is that we're 4:06 p.m. on a Thursday, and we still don't have any markets available for this Saturday meeting.
Well, that's why we've brought the great man in, Russell Collett. He'll give us indicative markets.
Absolutely. Well, there is the two markets up on the main features, which McGinnity's done before he disappeared. But, yeah, I'm happy to give you a great guide right through on what the markets will be. It's a great race, buddy.
It is, and this is perfect because I was hoping this is what was going to happen, and we could have a bit of fun with Rusty's prices throughout this meeting before we actually get what's available, and you can actually have a bet with Tab Touch and the like. So it's going to be a
no
bit of fun.
meerkats?
No meerkats, but I'm looking forward to this.
Okay.
This will be good.
Originally, they said, look, McGinnity's away. Do we bring Russell in? I said, look, we can't afford it. We can't afford a lot of things anymore, so we can't afford to pay him money.
Amounting
And
up.
then I realised that I saw another email go out and said there'll be no prices. And I said, well, what are you and I going to talk about for 2 hours? I said, that's not going to work. So, Russell, you're back in.
We're back in.
We had to pay him double because it was a late call-up.
We can talk footy with Russell as well. Ask him
on
about
that,
Freo.
mate. How are the Dockers
let's-
going?
Oh, mate, I tell you, last week was one of the hardest games I've ever watched at Optus Stadium, and I left there just absolutely worn out from thinking, can this continue like this? What is going on there at Fremantle? Honestly, I'm speechless. I've never seen a team probably play. Look at this, third on the ladder with 4 games to go last year, haven't won since.
Six straight, isn't
Six
it?
straight losses.
6 on the bounce.
On the bounce.
Yeah,
and that horrible statistic you read out during the week here on TABradio.
The last quarter stats, yeah. 74-7.
What is going on there?
It was not exactly an attractive game of football to
Terrible.
sit through last
wasn't.
Sunday.
I sat through it too.
Do you get the feeling that the brakes are on? Do you get the feeling that they're all too scared to make a mistake? I don't know what it is. I really cannot work
I
out what it
actually
is.
don't think that's a bad way of, I guess, putting it. That they played without any willingness to want to take the game on.
Yeah.
Is how Fremantle
Risk-averse.
played. Risk-averse last Sunday. That's exactly how Fremantle played.
And it's ugly footy. It's terrible to watch. It's not a spectator sport when they're playing that sort of football.
And I've got to say, I don't think Sydney, and I said it and a few people disagree with me, but they didn't play much better.
No,
They
no,
were
they're
just bombing the
terrible
ball
early.
off.
Mate, if they kicked straight early, it would have been all over at half time. But they didn't play that well. But boy, oh boy, Freo. They better bounce back this week, or I'll tell you what, there'll be a revolt. I can feel it. As you're leaving the ground, the rumbling and the disappointment
Yes.
was extremely
Right.
obvious.
Okay.
Let's hope the punters aren't disappointed with these prices today.
Yes, well,
hang on.
The text line is going bananas at the moment.
There we go.
And Fred from Fremantle, hopefully, even though he's from Fremantle,
He's a good
doesn't
man.
go
Then.
for Fremantle.
Oh, no, he's not.
But there's every chance he does.
Yeah.
He's asking if there's any chance this market or these markets go up tonight, or is he right to just click the off button on the old PC and crack open his first Thursday evening stubby? And to tell you the truth, Fred, I actually have no idea. I am none the wiser as to when we might see these full markets go up for this meeting.
I think they'll be up tonight. You never know.
They should be.
And I'd certainly be looking if I was a punter.
Yeah, well, they said they were going to go up sometime during Thursday afternoon.
All right.
10 minutes past 4. What's Fred doing? He should be on his 5th or 6th by now. It's 36.4 degrees out there, Riles.
It is warm.
I was at a funeral earlier on today, and the celebrant, he knocked the top off a Corona at about 11:15.
Good on him.
Yeah, my oath, had a little toast.
Best way to do it.
Why not?
Yeah.
It's not as hot out there today as it has been earlier this week, I don't think.
What's the feels like factor?
33, I reckon it feels like. 33.2. There you go.
You reckon it used to send Wesley John off the feel like factor? It's 36.4.
I'll tell you what, in here it feels about 23.7. It's cool in here.
It's a bit nipply in here. Don't
Is it,
worry
isn't
about
it?
that.
Well, Mace was in before, and Mace likes it nice and
It is
crisp
cold.
in here.
He runs a bit hot.
Where's Rudy? Not here?
Who?
Bruce Reid, jumbo.
He's been and gone.
Oh, gone?
The big left-hander.
Okay,
Yeah.
all good.
Razor.
All right, we've got a big meeting coming our way. Now, the rail's out 5 metres, and we've gone a good 4. I think it's going to drop to about, 30 degrees? 35 on Saturday.
35?
East to southeasterly.
Southeast.
I was wondering
Yeah, and
what-
only mild.
I was wondering where you were going with that because the weather app in front of me is saying 35 and I'm thinking, hang on, we got two different apps saying it's going to be 29 or 30 and mine's telling me 35. But with the rail 35 degrees, hot day, easterlies forecast, relatively gentle at this stage, nothing too ridiculous. I do think will be favouring those horses that are on speed or at least settling in the first 4 or 5 in running, particularly early doors on the weekend.
You'd certainly imagine it. And it looks like that breeze is going to be there all day. So it could be the pattern all day long. As I said, some terrific racing. Let's getting underway at 29 past 12. The first on Saturday at Ascot. And we've got an up-and-comer.
So we better get cracking onto this. Race number 1, the Peters Investments Handicap. And it is due to go 12.29 over the 1,400 metres. And what's your marker look like, Rusty?
Mate, Elite Missile. I've got it at about $3.80. Prize Recruit in at $7. Angels Impact, $41 on the return. Mean Machine, $4.80. Ginger's Secret at $14. Leonardo de Grey, down from Geraldton, $31. Shoot to Fame, $9. 6-inch Heels, the favourite at about $2.60. Off a very impressive Class 1 win, and Swansea at $21.
Now, I've done a lot of work on the speed maps for the show today, right? So I've sort of got Swansea, Leonardo de Grey, and 6-inch Heels, the first 3 in running. How's that looking? You happy with that?
Spot
I'm
on.
happy with that, Mart.
Good.
You're going well. You've started.
Good start.
Started off well. No, I thought Leonardo de Grey, Swansea, likely look your first 2 in running. 6-inch Heels just takes a drop in behind the speed, and I'd be happy to take the 260 on offer from Collett betting about 6-inch Heels, who looks every bit a Saturday filly for mine. She's been dominant in 2 wins. This preparation and the figures reflect the visual nature of the wins as well. Really ripped away from her rivals late. Up along the cutaway in a pretty hot Class 1 last start, and the cutaway wasn't the best place to be on the day up along that inside pad. We saw Cryptic Joy, a moral beaten from that race since yesterday as well. He should have won. She's just going to get this lovely run from the gate here, drawn in 4 to just tuck in behind the speed. She drops a couple of kilos off her back as well, and I don't think she'll have any issues seeing out the 1,400 metres, Rusty. I think she'll be very hard to beat, and it just looks a much nicer setup for her as well than it does for a horse I've got plenty of time for in Elite Missile, who obviously has to go back from the barrier, you'd think, and has to carry the weight as well on a hot day with an easterly in play. It might just be too much of an ask for him to be able to run her down over the concluding stages.
No, I see it the same way, Riley. That's exactly how I sum it up, and that was really impressive. That if you want to go back and check either one of those wins, the win at Pinjarra, clocking 33.68 for the last sectionals, super run, and then the next run I think was even better, even though it came home easier. It just waltzed in. So yeah, if you can get the 260 shopping, good luck there in the first. But I think it'll be a clear favourite, jumping straight from a Class 1 into a 62 plus.
And the birthday boys in on the text line. Duppy here, lads. Thanks for the wishes. I'm on the way to Sizzlers. Hopefully chicken twisties are still going. Can't believe no mounting yard yesterday for the Tab Touch listeners. I felt like Stevie Wonder trying to imagine those horses in the yard. One and done for the Dup, Mart. This weekend. Don't worry about weather or wind, blah, blah, blah. Elite Missile will be winning, and I'll have 1,000 on. Thanks, Rusty.
There we are. Elite Missile straight to the launch. Very, very good. Get that
One
number.
and done for the Dubster on his birthday as well. And Jared from Scarborough also passes on his best wishes to Dwayne.
Oh, that's
on his
good.
birthday.
I'm getting text on my
Thanks,
text
Jared.
line again. What's going on here, Riley?
Well, I'll tell you one person we haven't
if you
heard.
just direct them to this phone.
We haven't heard from the Mauler. Where's he?
Yeah, that's where I'm getting them from. I've got
He hasn't done
Mauler
that again,
Maley
has
sent
he?
it through. Race 1, number 9, 6-inch heels. All the best, boys. Wish I was there.
Well, Jared from Scarborough's actually asked, because it's the great man's birthday, if you could let him and the Mauler have a crack at it again and go head to
We
head.
just can't afford the $100 Tab Touch voucher. That's the only thing. We need a sponsor. So, numbers here in the first, it looks like we're all with 6-inch heels. Simon Miller and Lucy Fiore.
Yeah,
Yep.
I thought, I'm not sure what price she'll be. She could be shorter than the 260, but I thought she looked one of the better bets of the
So
day.
you're in the book here. 6-inch heels. Tip 4 winners last week.
Not a bad effort.
I think
Out
the
of
Mauler
9.
had 3.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Got to butter up.
Yeah, only as good as your last tip.
That's
it.
right.
Right, we're on to
That's
race number 2. We're looking at this meeting, and it is the Unite Resourcing Handicap. It's over the 1,000 metres. Time to go at 140. Did we mention there's an early scratching in that first race too? Court's record out?
Court's record is
Raced
out.
yesterday.
Yeah. Race number 2 over the 1,000 metres. How's the market look?
Okay, tricky map here. This is the
Well,
tricky
hang on,
part
that's
of it.
where I come in. Don't start.
Okay, I'm just saying.
You're here for the prices,
I'm
mate.
making
I'm the
sure.
map.
I'm making sure you're doing your homework. Talking gibberish
I'm
is the horse in question.
And Olivia's me mama. They're the two I had going forward. What about yourself?
Well, talking gibberish from barrier 8. Chris Parnham, $3.80 I think it'll be opening up at. Rightio's back for Brad Graham. Nice horses, got a lot of ability. 7 starts, 3 wins, 2/3. $4.40. Bonnie Ladd at about $12. Flick the Switch, disappointing the other day, but apparently had travelling issues, and I do hope it stayed here. Any idea whether that horse stayed here or not?
No.
I do believe it played up badly on the float, is what I'm hearing.
Okay.
If that's any mail for you. Flick the Switch, I think it'll be around $5.50. Golden Fighter, $26. Amaru Star will be the favourite. The same team, Simon Miller and Lucy Fiore. They get off to a great start on Saturday. Amaru Star at about even money for mine, dropping 4 kilos. Defiant Die Right, you'll get your $101 if you want it. And, of course, Olivia's Me Mama, $61.
I thought the two likely to find themselves at the head of the field could, especially given the conditions we are expecting on the weekend, could control this race, but there's certainly no shortage of speed or horses that will be looking for spots in that front half of the field. I thought Amaru Star could potentially kick through to lead and hold out Talking Gibberish, who might have to settle for the breeze. Rusty, but I thought there was also a chance that Talking Gibberish would just have too much speed for Amaru Star and could even get across and find the fence on her lonesome. She was pretty dominant last start. She put her rivals to the sword from the top after being made to earn it a bit early as well, and posted a huge time figure in doing so. It was clearly her career best performance, Talking Gibberish. She sat back wide and working against her usual pattern the start prior to that, was briefly held up. I thought she was really good into second on that day as well. So she's obviously shown her versatility as well. She's not just a one-dimensional lead at all costs mare this time around. And I don't think the breeze would be the worst place to be outside Amaru Star and be the first to come after him if that is how this race eventuates. But they both tackled the 1,000 metres on the same day, last start at Ascot on the 19th of March. And I thought Talking Gibberish's performance was more impressive. And I just think that with the setup, I'd prefer to be on her. I've got a lot of respect for Emery Starr, who drops the 4 kilos off his back as well and should be able to find the fence in running, no doubt about that. But I thought Talking Gibberish, if she could find the breeze or the front, she'd be very, very hard to beat again. And I also am with you, Rusty, in suggesting that might not be the right setup for him first up, but Righto is a horse that I've got plenty of time for as well. And if they do overdo things a bit in front, he's got a proper turn of foot.
And Marty, the speed map for you?
Well, I'm a bit shocked that he hasn't got Olivia. Riley hasn't got Olivia's me mama up punching up there somewhere from barrier 6.
Yeah, it'll be somewhere with thereabouts. Thereabouts. The horse has shown a tendency at times to just be a little bit sort of can take a misstep out of the barriers, and has done that before. But she's a mare that has also found herself right over the speed. But I just thought she wouldn't have the early toe to go with these horses that we've spoken about, Amaru Star and Talking Gibberish.
Okay.
101 days, no trial.
Yeah, it'll be fresh.
It'll be fresh. It could be flying out. I'm a bit with you, Marty. I think there could be a bit more speed in this than we think, and it could open up then for those sitting just behind, which could be your Flick the Switch or Righto.
Flick the Switch is definitely going to be a lot better suited back to the 1,000 metres as well. Yep. She'd been winning over the 1,000 and 1,100 metres in her Great Southern Dominance, and they tested her at 1,200 metres first time in town, which I didn't think was perhaps the right formula, but now they've dropped her back to the 1,000. Expect a much improved performance.
Yep, good race.
Okay, Pakenham race number 4, Divs, 9, 10, 5, 11. Balcony Daniel Stackhouse, 371.40. Demi Quaver, 250. And Vianara, $1.10. Quinella, 18.50. Exacta, 34.60. Trifecta, 75 even. 9, 10, 5, 11, first 4, 189.80. 11 and 9 in the double 11.30. Quaddy, 1, 8, 11, 9, 54.70. 7 and 8 out of Pakenham race 4. Albany race 5. We're not far away for a start, 2 minutes off. So we'll hold race number 3. One Gauge Roads has been a good go, this, for Shooter McGruddy's, 195. They did bet 205 into $1.75. Chantal has gone 215 out to 440. Magic Mikey is 11 into 8. Yes, of course, 34 into $9. So nice move there. Is today the day for Gauge Roads?
It looks like it. Surely it looks like it.
Riles, you're a little bit of an Albany specialist.
Yep, today's the day. If not now, then
when?
Perhaps never.
Okay, and don't forget, this Thursday night game's only 4 minutes off a bounce. So what was it? Either side to win under 29 points.
Yes.
Merritt has to kick a goal.
Yes.
And Jace Burgoyne has to get 20 possessions.
Correct.
That is for $4.
$4.
All right.
With Tab Touch.
You are listening to the Ascot Racing Preview. We are up to race number 3, Russell, and this is the Tab Touch West Speed Platinum Handicap over the 1,400 metres, due to go at 143.
Yeah, another good race, Marty. Idyllic Ruler resuming, be about $17, $18. The Spruker dropping back in class to about $7. Grand Reserve, bit ordinary first up, $41. Rocket Juice racing well, $4.80. Kiralui, $9. Audio Boy on the return at about $10. Nice, consistent animal it. Terra Tiff, this could be the one of conjecture. I'm saying it's going to be around about a $2.20 jumping price, even after that run at Bunbury, which that whole meeting, I've just thrown a lot of that form out the door. Boozac at about $12. Playing Quest at $5.50. Zach Loves to Fly, a little bit out of class in town, $51. Arnie's Boy likewise at $71. Fortune's Luck, $15. And Sacricity, jumping up from a class 3, in at around about $31. That's the pricing there for a race 3.
Yeah, they have to be very respecting of Terratif from a starting price profile, clearly. Off the back of last start at Bunbury, she was beaten as a $1.30 favourite. And as you mentioned, a lot of that form is... there's a few question marks. I had a real deluge of rain before the opening event, before the rain just vanished for the remainder of the program. So there was a fair old cover of moisture on the track before that opening, or at least the opening few races. We know the track pattern was get away as far away from the fence as humanely possible on the day. There weren't many excuses for her, I didn't think. Right part of the track, $1.30 favourite, was backed as if unbeatable. Just don't think she carried the weight, 59 kilos. She's only a pretty slight mare. May not have seen out the mile either. I think back to 1,400 metres and back down 1.5 kilos in the weights is certainly in her favour. I just think she's likely to be overbet as a result of that. $2.20 would be too short for me to be getting involved with her. No interest there. I'm convinced Busak's a Saturday quality horse. His run last start had plenty of merit. Loved his return. Perhaps just wasn't suited to picking up underneath horses and sprinting on what I thought was the inferior part of the track in a fast run race. The barrier just makes things a bit trickier for him here. Playing Quest was super last start when well backed behind Sale Session. We know Sale Session subsequent JC Roberts winner, but the map looks a little bit tricky for Chris Parnham for mine from the gate. Rocket Juice is never far away. The horse of interest for me, and I'm sort of going against the grain with the conditions of the day here, but there doesn't appear to be a lot of genuine speed in this race for mine. Rusty, horses like Arnie's Boy, Zach Loves to Fly, Rocket Juice, Kira Louie, they'll all be up there, but they're not genuine speed horses. I just thought this could be a race where they really bunch and they start to pack up approaching the corner, which could suit a horse like the Spruker, who's off a freshen up back into West Speed Company from 66 plus and 72 plus racing. I love the fact that he's been freshened up, and if this is a race that unfolds in that manner and they do really bunch and horses 3 deep, 4 deep cover and making their runs, and McGrady can afford him that flowing run on the right back, I think he's a massive chance into this grade of chalking up his first win since February of 2024.
Yep, no arguments again with me. Speed map, Marty, what do you have on top?
Idyllic Ruler leading from wide. Jason
Really?
Brown.
I thought they'd go back first up.
No, I've got it going forward.
Okay.
It's something I could see happening for sure, Marty, but I think they would also be just in the back of their minds first run of the prep. If there is a bit more pace than anticipated, you wouldn't want a taxing run for a horse that's only going to build into his campaign as he steps up in trip.
It could be a messy map, there's no doubt about it. Zach Loves to Fly, locks to go forward. And, of course, so does Kira Louie after that win last week. Two back, led their last start. And from 6, it's obviously, in this sort of race, could find itself in front as well.
Yeah, she's
Tricky
a horse.
race.
She's a horse that needs a smother, Kira Louie. She's got a really short, sharp burst of acceleration, and she wasn't suited to leading last start whatsoever. So they'll look for a prominent position in running, no doubt about that, but they won't be looking to lead this time around for sure.
Okay, there you go. And I think Watch Me Rock is the form where when we look at that Bunbury meeting, Watch Me Rock bouncing back last Saturday, heavily backed.
Clearly the best horse.
And clearly the best horse. It just puts that big question mark over that form of that Bunbury meeting, and it does make it a little bit more difficult when you're trying to line them up.
So we've got one for the book, Riles, or not?
No, holding off on the book just yet for race 3, Marty.
Okay. Race number 4.
The Spruker at a big price, double figures. Not sure we'll see it. That could get me in a messy race.
4th event, the Secor Handicap over the 1400. Talking about Secor, Hallowell won that previous race at Albany. Better give you the divvies. 1372 Gage Road. Sean McGrady 190 104. Pray Again 310. Magic Mikey $1.90. Quinella 1120. Exacta 1380. Trifecta 5940. First 4 1372 181.20. And the double 10 and 1 $5.36 minutes to Pakenham. So we'll try and get a couple done here. Race number 4 over the 1400 metres for Secor. Time to go 2:23, Russ.
Okay, I am Spartacus, $18, Marty. Said no one ever. Albany Cup, previous Albany Cup winner is back. It was a good run on return after 500 odd days. $31 though here. $21 the Corn Cob. $5 about playing games. I've got Macchia 2 at $21. Red Tory, $3.70. War Gem at about $51. B Bardo, in my view, will be your favourite around $2.70 with William Pike drawn 2. And, of course, the stable clearly on fire. Cousin Ivan around $12. Also a good return there at Albany. Brazen Empress, upset winner there the other day, $7. The other one couldn't get past it. And Sports Talk at around about $10.
I think B. Bardot likely to be very popular with the punters here. Marty couldn't have run a better race first up at 1,200 metres. The distance, I think, is a little bit short of what's going to be her best as well. She got a mile off the speed, closed off in comfortably the quickest last 200 metres of the entire meeting. Low draw for Pike to work with here at 1,400 metres, drops a cut 2.5 kilos off her back. I think she's the up-and-comer and the horse with the most upside in this field and ability level as well. I think with a clear passage throughout, maybe some traffic for Pike to have to navigate from that low draw with her, given she doesn't have a lot of tactical speed. With that clear passage, she'll be very hard to beat. I think she'll start closer to the even money mark, Rusty, than the $2.70. I think she'll be very popular. Could understand if Corn Cob went up $21 like you've marked him, if there's some snipping there. I thought he could give a bit of cheek if he can find the top from coming through a 72 plus, where I thought he was a good run, second run back for the campaign behind Cessation, back into a graduation. That's good placement for a horse who does like to build into his campaigns as he gets a bit fitter, and conditions could be suiting those horses on speed. So I could see some each-way support for Corn Cob at the double figures there. Red Tory, I found her a hard horse to line up here just because of the barrier. She has shown her versatility this campaign. She was very good at Bunbury against the pattern with Premium Girl, clearly in the right part of the track, but just not sure where she gets to in running here. From the gate, I thought she'd look for 3 deep cover and likely end up in the second half of the field. It could get a bit sticky if they go forward with her. And not underestimating the first up win of Brazen Empress, I thought was a really nice performance and could slide forward into a prominent position as well. Perhaps she's come back a better animal this time in.
Okay, before we look at race 5, the Bisley work, we're just updating our match of the evening. Essendon kicked 2 points. They should have kicked goals, Merritt and Ridley missing. And the ball went forward to Port. And surprisingly, Georgiardi was able to beat Ben Mackay in a one-out contest. I don't think that'll happen again this evening. And Georgiardi went back and was able to kick the goal. So it's 1 straight 6. Essendon 2 points. The Bisley workwear, it's over the 1,200 metres.
Never misses an opportunity, does he?
Never misses a chance.
Well, you're paying $1 million too. He's not going to get beaten again, surely. It's over the 1,200 metres, Russ, and this race is due to go at, hang on, what time we got? 3:05.
And I'm looking at Silver Eye. Very good run second up. Drawn a bit sticky here at the 11. $8. Ruler Rocket at $14. Speed Dream, $26. Just St. James been having a lot of its handfuls with me. Every time I seem to go for it, it gets beat. $4.80. Siberian Siren at about 11. Deferred, of course, will start your favourite, Simon Miller. In for a big day, Simon, with Chris Parnham drawn 2 at about $2.20. Blue Rocket, $5.50 for the Pikester. Hammer Mill, great run last start, $8. Invincible Ruby, I'm expecting around 26. Rapid Rock around 21. And Saduskin, it will be upwards and others around about the $41 mark.
Yeah, I'd be happy to take on Deferred as the favourite in this market if that's the way things eventuate. I'm still just in the back of my mind thinking that she might be a better horse on a wet track, which she showed when she went on her dominant streak of form through the winter months. She had the PR in transit last start, was just able to cling on from Hammermill at the midweeks in a Class 5, and this is certainly a lot deeper than that. So while I know she was almost a month between runs on that occasion, and you do have to factor that in, I'm just not completely sold on her at the moment and how she's going, whether or not she's a better version of herself with the sting out of the ground. So as favourite, I'd take her on. Yes, Marty?
I've picked this. I just knew that TB was going to have a big part to play in this meeting at Pakenham. So his best bet, it's his best bet in 10 years of racing at Pakenham. The lights have gone off and there's an indefinite delay before this race. We were all across this.
He's the best.
Sorry, let's go.
He's the best.
Was it $4.20 to $1.70? Your map there, Marty. Have you got a map on this, the fifth there?
I've got a map.
You might.
I'm not sure about my map because I've got Siberian Siren going forward along with Rapid Rock, both from wide draws.
I really like this race for Siberian Siren if they opt to go forward, Marty. Not a great deal of speed, aside from Rapid Rock, who's drawn her outside. They opted to go back.
So do you like my map?
I did.
Okay.
Tick gets a tick of approval from me. I'm hoping that's how this race pans out. They opted to go back from a wide draw last start. Got home really well, having to come through the field from off the speed. Brad Parnham booked. You'd think with that booking that they will opt to change tact this time around. And if she could get across into the front here or even the breeze back to 1,200 metres, I think she finds a very nice race, Siberian Siren. I'm happy to put her in the book for the weekend. Marty, pretty keen on her chances. And pending prices, Rusty, I know you've had a tough time catching him this campaign, but I could see a universe where Just St. James bounces back in a big way. Don't think he was suited to racing as prominently as he did last start, especially in hindsight, given how that track at Bunbury played. I think ride him more conservatively here with a smother from a low draw, and he's more than capable of bouncing back. His win, that remarkable win where he came back and through the field, ripped away from them 3 starts ago, that's produced 8 subsequent race winners and 5 subsequent winners from it since, and he belted them on that occasion. So I'm very respecting of that performance. Hasn't gone to plan for him down the straight or at Bunbury since then, but with a soft run and a gap, I think Just St. James can bounce back, and I don't want to be losing on him in this race on the weekend.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree 100% there with that one there on race 5 at Ascot Saturday.
Okay, we go to race number 6, first leg of the quaddie. It is the Petaluma handicap over the 2,200 metres. We start time here at 3:42, Russell.
Yes, mate. Brave contender. We'll start around about $18. We rate Chew at $10. I've got Queen of Jerusalem at $8. Warley Alas, big money for it last time, $8 into $4.20 to get the money. I think it'll start around the same price, about $4.40, a stickier draw here. BJ Boy, $21. Dutchie's Demerit at $26. Royal Law, $5. Burnbrae at $12. I've got Savorsky at $12. Zachariah Bow at $31. Modelistic coming up from Albany, $8.50. Mr. Talentino, $13. Royal Splendour I have as the favourite, and around about $3.60. Taranaki, $8. Tiff's Lad, $17. And Willpower, dropping right up in class here, dropping weight at 6 kilos at about 51.
So what about Taranaki? Does that
Taranaki, yeah, $8. I think it does lead again.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely convinced that's the best way to ride this horse, but he does look ready, this horse. 4th up now, rock hard fit. Finally draws a barrier. Importantly, Marty has had to do a lot of work and has been forced to roll forward with aggression from wide gates at his past couple of runs. Drawn beautifully here in 2, can be ridden, I thought, a tad more conservatively here to find his position, or even just not have to do as much work early doors as he has been, Rusty, to find his spot close to the speed. I loved how he toughed it out last start. He looked gone on the turn after leading for home, but actually fought back over the concluding stages really well. Winkers go on. I think he's ready to win. He was the way I went in a race where I didn't have a firm grasp on it. I thought Taranaki each way was the bet for me. Warley Lass, Royal Law both come through that same race. You could make equally as strong cases for them. Warley Lass has really come into her own this prep, as has Royal Law, who gets Chris Parnham on board and maps for a near identical run.
And Royal Splendour?
And yes, and Royal Splendour all comes through that same form reference. Royal Law, the horse, I was mentioning then with Chris Parnham jumping on, replacing Jared Noski. Royal Splendour, William Pike replaces Holly Watson on a horse that gets back, and there's no issue at running out a strong 2,200 metres. So that's a big jockey change for her. She's always thereabouts the mark.
And Pike first time.
And Pike first time, correct. And also, I think you have to have plenty of respect for Wee Ray Chew, who had clear excuses in the Bunbury Cup.
Yes, that leading again.
Wrong part of the track. Good run the start prior through some traffic. Drops from a Bunbury Cup into what isn't a very strong 60-plus staying event, and big jockey change as well with Lucy Fiore jumping on board. So one to consider there, Wee Ray Chew, which likely goes around at a genuine each-way price as well.
Another great race.
Yeah, it is a good race. And That's the longest I've ever heard Rylie spend on a 2,200 metre race.
Well, I was a little bit worried coming into today that it would just be, Rusty goes through his prices and his thoughts, and then I go through mine, and we don't have any meerkats, we don't have any prices, and Marty goes to sleep and has a snooze, forgets to go to Brad Hardy. Today.
So far, early doors.
Only was 10 minutes late going to Brad. They're back in the yard there at Pakenham, so that's good. Just a score update as well. Essendon kicked a couple of goals from free kicks, Draper and Caddy, and then the ball just whizzed down the other end, and Georgiades was able to beat Mackay on another one-on-one. But look, Chris Langford, David Dench, or Steve Silvani wouldn't have been able to stop that one. So it's Essendon 2-4-16, Porter 2 goals, straight 12 as we... go to race number 7. This is the big one. The Supremacy Stakes. Number 2, heavily specified, is already out. It's over the 1,000 metres, and start time at 4:20 here, Russ.
This is the prelude, of course, the early prelude to the Karrakatta Plate, no doubt about it. And the guns are back. Yes, Queen. Yes, Queen now. I'll just get the actual market. The market is up here on Tab Touch.
It is.
And I'll get you the changes as well. Yes, Queen now is in from $2.40. Who put that up? $2.40 into $1.65. Goodness gracious me. Some early shopping there, and someone would be very happy. Haven't specified is out. Early scratching there, the 2 is taken out of the Supremacy Stakes. Exceed the Boom, 21 into 14. We've got Delta Sun, who ran on brilliantly the other day. 17 out to 23. $5.50 to $6.50 is Talk & Co. Luana Miss, another one of these returning juveniles who's shown well above average ability. $5 into $4.80. May this be the one? $11 out to 23. We've got Fine Star steady at around $26. Penny Lass, 34 out to 61. Rigatoni, 17 to 23. And Wayfinder on the debut, $21 out to 26. But she's short, $1.65, but boy, she looks the goods, and those 2 trials were ultra impressive.
Yeah, she's short, but she deserves to be. Rusty, incredibly exciting 2-year-old Yes Queen, unbeaten in her 4 trials and her only race start in which she was dominant, defeating Talk & Co, posting a very strong figure on that occasion as well. As you mentioned, Rusty, the trials have been electric, and key to this race is the fact that she's drawn inside her key rivals according to the market as well, in Luana Miss and Torkenko, who's drawn in 10. I'm expecting her to win here on return, and a very deserving all-in Karrakatta Plate favourite on what we've been exposed to date. So while she's no betting proposition for me at those sort of odds, I do think she'll turn up and win on the weekend. Luana Miss looks talented, no doubt about that. Talk & Co gets a kilo, doubt that's enough to turn the tables. And Yes Queen just trialled infinitely better than she did in the build-up to returning to the races on the weekend. Couple I want to touch on, Rusty, out wider. Rigatoni's 400-metre jump out I thought was very good. Drawn a good barrier on debut, well-bred 2-year-old as well. Pretty keen to see what she can produce on debut for First Light Racing, who've hit the ground now here in WA as well. Big syndication business. And Delta Sun is a horse that the barrier makes things tough once again for him, but I thought his first up run from a wide gate was terrific in a strong form race as well. God's Rapture, Spicy Thang have run super races. God's Rapture winning in very impressive fashion last weekend from that race to frank that form. Delta Sun, one to keep an eye on as we get a bit deeper or closer towards our 2-year-old features at a big price.
Okay, what about the map here, boys? Because obviously, Yes Queen has got speed. Also, Luana Miss, may this be the one? Exceed the Boom. There's a bit of pressure.
Absolutely. Even Rigatoni showed plenty of speed in the trial, so there's going to be plenty there. But I can't go past the filly. That last trial's ultra impressive. The trial before that was very impressive. She's done nothing wrong. Pike on, drawn 8. And the most important thing for mine, I agree with Rylie, drawing inside the main 2 rivals gives her a great advantage. And I can see her finding the front in 1,000 metres. Boy, oh boy, can she fly this horse. Yes, Queen. Exciting prospect going forward towards the Karrakatta Plate, and certainly well worth getting out to Ascot to check this horse out on her way through.
There's pressure, but From what we've seen, I just think she's quicker than them.
Yeah.
No questions about it. I think she'll get across, she'll get to the front, and that's the last I'll see of her, I think, on the weekend.
Okay, so now let's clear up what's going on here in the studios. We've got Pakenham about 4 away, and they're going out on the track at Albany as well. We've cleared those divvies, Albany. They've been released. And guess what? We're due for a clash between Albany and Pakenham. There's got to be some geniuses getting well paid around the world to be able to do stuff like this, I tell you. Absolute geniuses. No, I kid you not. 3 minutes before you've got Wentworth Park Dogs, you've got Hobart Dogs 6 minutes after.
I know.
You reckon you might have been able to split them, Russ?
You'd think so.
No.
You really would. You'd think.
Well, for that, we'll be taking Albany. One, I Dreamed a Dream is $3.80. 2, Manavendra $3.40. 3, Red Dwarf at $9.50. 4, Albrick is $12. By Big Swoop 18. 6, Annihilator 41. 7, Deadly and Fast has been $3.10 in from 6 for your girl, Kira Yule. 8, Jack in the Black is 41. And 9 is Pecos at 11. We've looked at Pakenham a couple of times. This is a race that's been shunted back with Grazamba at $1.80. So currently we have Essendon 2-5-17. They've got their point kicking boots on, and the Port have kicked their second point of the match there, 2-2-14. Runners behind the barriers at Albany. We've got a couple of minutes there. We'll go through the prices for the Rock Magic Stakes because they are up on Tab Touch. It's over the 1,000 metres, and it's time to go at 5 o'clock, Russ.
Another great day of returns. These are our premier sprinters. They're back and they're ready to go. Bravo Centurion. What a sprinter. No trial, but the word is the track work was scintillating.
I like no trial.
Yeah, I don't mind no trial. $2.75 out to $3.20 though here. Saloon Bar, $8 into $6.50. We've got Almighty Class, $18 into $12 with blinkers for the first time. Ginnivan, which could cause a bit of pressure on the speed map. I'm sure you would have already picked that up, Marty. Yeah. $11 out to $12. Oxbridge, 15 to 23. Kripalenko, 26 out to 41. Baby Paris, $8 out to 11. Keep Reading, 41 to and steady. Premium Choice, $8 out to 13, which means only one thing. There's only one horse that's really coming in, and that is Joker's Grin, the big beast he is, in from $3.50. The best they bet was $3.80, and now $2.80 in favourite for the Rock Magic.
A wise man once told me, Rusty, who may or may not be sitting in this studio with us, to stuff your speed maps and back the best horse. But that's not the case here. Over the 1,000 metres. The 1,000 metres, as we know, a real specialist trip for the sprinters. And I think the first 200 metres of this race, as you have alluded to, Rusty, is going to be crucial here with Jackie Ginnivan drawn in 2, Bravo Centurion drawn 3. Ooh. The sparks will be flying early, we know that, and just watching Ginnivan's trials in the lead-up to resuming this time around, he's been beginning like a rocket in those trials, and I was looking for an angle where he was perhaps a touch slow or a stride or two slow out of the gates in those trials, but he was bang out of the barriers. He's pinged them in both of them, you're right. And I do agree with you, Marty. I like that Bravo Centurion attacks this 1,000-metre race fresh without a trial. Only had the 400-metre jump out leading into last preparation as well. I think if Bravo Centurion gets across Ginnivan and finds a fence, he holds the aces. If he's made to punch the breeze and they really clap the speed on as a result, I think it sets up for a horse like Joker's Grin to finish over the top of them with that withering finish that he's got. The uncertainty around how that pans out, I'm happy to just take a sit and let the market dictate to me which way I go. And by this stage of the day, you'll also know conditions look to be suiting those on pace, but you'll have a strong gauge by race 8.
And it's going to be a spectacle.
Oh, it is.
What happens? This is a great sprinters race.
You know how you can judge this? Listening to Melbourne radio this morning, they were talking about Bravo Centurion and the way he's coming back to the races. He's a chance for the quokka and all of that type of thing. Goes to show that he does, and this race is getting national relevance.
Absolutely.
100%.
These are good sprinters.
He's unbeaten over the 1,000 in his career, Bravo Centurion. He's 5 from 5.
Yeah.
1,000-metre specialist. 1,000-metre horses win 1,000-metre races. And the statistics will tell you that.
They are starting to load here at Albany. And for some reason, they've had a problem with the barrier now at Pakenham. So that's still running late. Georgiades has just taken another mark. I'm not sure who that was on. They made the move to put Ridley onto him.
Do you remember when they were going down the back at Pakenham in race 1, and TB mid-call just touched on what a terrific race course this is as they go down the back. And
it was just set up, mate.
He's generous.
It's been set up all morning.
It
has gone wrong.
He was up and about at about 7:30 this morning.
Oh, he's the king of it.
He's saying it's been going for 10 years. Where are those 10 years gone? But it's the best racetrack. You should see it. I was there the first day. They turned the first sod of soil. It's me and Pakenham. They were synonymous together. He's 18, Rolls. Before we have a look at our next race, have you got anything off that text line for Retrovision?
Oh, Marty, there's a couple. They are going to sleep on us.
Oh, the footy's on, yeah.
But, Marty, very stern one for you off the text line here.
And I deserve it.
Joe goes, hey, Marty, just because
Joey,
you are on $1 million, it doesn't make you a good player.
I've got no answer to that, Joe. You've got me there, mate.
He's right.
That's for sure.
You know, no doubt about it.
There's evidence on your screen right now as we look at it. Make no mistake. Okay, we go
They're
to
all after you, Mart.
race number 9 at Ascot is the Mrs. Max Handicap. It's over 1,600. Still no market up yet. It won't be long. 5:38 is start time for the Lucky Russ.
It's a ripper. This is a great, tough race to finish the day at Ascot. You get the winner here, you'll be well rewarded. Designated, I expect to start around about $10. Filthy Habits at $5.50 last start winner and well supported. Zafira, $14. Angel Undercover, terrific run the other day, wide on the bend, $6. A Secret Attraction, about $4.80. Wango Award, probably go around about $61. Yarralea, $41. Above the peg, I'm expecting $18 there with the mare. $18 also for Hereford Checks. Uncompromised coming up from Esperance, $31. Count the Sessions. You can put in that blinder every now and then, $21. Bellini Miss, who won on that funny track down there at Bunbury, $26. Our Rocky Bay, the horse probably most in form in WA at the moment, $4.80. Strike Now around $51. And then finally the favourite, Willie Pike in the last, drawn 9, Trio for Stan Quinlivan at around about $3.80.
Okay, a couple of things here. Are you surprised that Pike has elected to ride Trio ahead of Secret Attraction? And 2, pace-wise, is it Filthy Habits and Our Rocky Bay?
Yes, Filthy Habits I thought would get across completely and take up the running, and Our Rocky Bay, Hereford Checks, likely to be the horses just tucked away in behind him. And yes, I am, Marty, to answer your question. I thought Trio was a very good run in defeat last start, given how that race panned out for him, no doubt about that. But ultimately, I think Secret Attraction is a better horse than Trio, and the Secret Attraction also had some excuses last start in the Sheila Gwynn. Don't think she was suited to leading, don't think she was suited to going as slowly as they did in that race. Pike's just not... He's not at his natural flowing best when he's in front, is he? And that's where he found himself with this horse in that Sheila Gwynn. And I think you go back to her first up run, Rusty, when she ran second behind Schmoove Mover, and you go back and you watch that replay, you watch the head-on vision, the steward's vision, and gee, she wasn't lucky not to win that race first up. And you go back through her Kalgoorlie form, it was outstanding. Her run on the 26th of October at Ascot over the mile when 3 deep, no cover throughout, she should have bolted in on that day. She's just a really nice mare who's come into her own since joining Peter Fernie. I think she's the best horse in the race.
Yep.
And it did surprise me, to answer your question in a quite a lengthy manner, that Pike has hopped off to ride Trio for Grant Alana.
And it is the lead in the market, isn't it? It'll probably end up favourite because of that move from Pike. But Secret Attraction picks up Sean O'Donnell, drawn 5, probably better off getting to sit just behind that speed. And terrific mile record. She's only going to be better for the run the other day. It's a good race. As I said, you find the winner here, you're going to be looking at $3.84 the field. It's a terrific race to finish the program. And if you're going quaddies, it's one of those ones you might put the FD in.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very there's no shortage of winning chances. I've got Secret Attraction on top. You don't lose a great deal. I love Sean O'Donnell first time on horses money. It's the old adage.
Yeah.
And he hops aboard her for the first time on the weekend. And I just think she's also going to really appreciate a race with some cover, run at a more genuine tempo, which is what she's going to find herself in on the weekend with Filthy Habits charging across, taking up the running from barrier 11. He's not the kind of horse, nor is Lucy dumb enough to stack and rack with that sort of, for the kind of horse that he is, how tough he is, rolling along out in front. So this will be a race run at a good clip, which is going to suit her as well. One that could start a ridiculous price. I'm not sure. I would have loved to have seen her draw a gate. But one that could start a ridiculous price and really jump out of the ground is Bellini Miss up to the mile, third up through that same form reference to Sheila Gwynn. She wasn't suited by how slowly they went in that race either. She's got a good record at 1,600 metres. Terrific win against the Patten at Bunbury on the 8th of March over 1,200. I think she's a horse you just have to keep an eye on. If she was to get out to, I think the market, going through yours, Rusty, was around that $26 mark.
Yep.
If she was to start any longer than that, she's one I could entertain having something on, maybe more the place than the win, but something small on at those odds as well.
It's just a tough map for her. It certainly is a tough map for her, but A's Undercover is the other one, of course,
Yes,
as I said.
the class dropper.
And gets to the mile for the first time. Always looks like a horse that would have got, that will get a mile.
Yeah.
First time
That's
over.
what I thought.
Over greater than 1,400. Drawn well, Jade McNaught. The stable's firing well, and it was a terrific run in the Sheila Gwynn. Very wide on the bend.
Yes, no, but yeah, the Sheila Gwynn's an interesting one, and as a form reference to look at and dissect because of how slowly they went, and it was quite a close finish. There were a number of them really relatively. The margin was only small between a number of runners. I'm going to take the opposite or disagree with you, Marty. I'm a bit of a query on her being as effective at 1,600 metres opposed to 1,200 to 1,400 metre range.
I'm just got Harry Angel out of a Shamardale mare. Draws low. They can just tuck her away.
Breaks 34 home sectionals every start, last 5 starts.
Yep.
Flies. Just absolutely flies. Drawn too, Marty.
It gets every chance.
Got to be in it.
And the stable absolutely flying.
Absolutely.
Yep. So let's get our better bets on the card.
Best bets for me
Yes,
on Saturday without market. So a lot of these will obviously be pending what we are left with. Race 1, 6-inch heels, really keen she can make the leap into Saturday company and win again. Race number 2, Talking Gibberish. Love how she's going at the moment. I think she's going to prove very hard to beat once again over the 1,000 metres from the lead or the breeze. I know you two both think there might be a bit more speed than I do, but if she can get across, I think she's going to be very hard to stop once again. Race 4, B Bardot for William Pike. I think she's going to be very popular. Not sure we'll see the 270 that you had her marked at, Rusty. I wouldn't mind seeing some 270 because it likely means we can have a bet, but I do think she'll start closer to even money on Saturday. Really keen on Siberian Siren. Not sure what price we'll see about her, but love the jockey change with Brad on board and hoping they chance their arm and go forward on the weekend back to 1,200 metres in a race that doesn't have a lot of speed, and I will be saving through that same race on Just St. James, not losing on him. Race 6, Taranaki each way over the staying trip. I'm staying out of the features. I think Yes Queen, very hard to beat, and the market and conditions will dictate how I go in the Rock Magic. But if Joker's Green were to get out in the market, then I could entertain a bet there, but not overly keen to play in the Rock Magic and not overly keen to play in the last. But Secret Attraction, intrigued to see what price she goes up, Marty, that Pike has hopped off for a flashing lights run last start.
You anticipate Secret Attraction, the one down the bottom, Pike's on Trio,
yep.
To start favourite?
I think it'll start favourite.
Yeah.
I think he's given the punters the lead, and I think that's the way it'll play. I like 6-inch heels. I just don't think your eye lies. And as I said, if you go back and have a look at its last 2 runs, with the 5 kilo weight pull on an elite missile, I think it'll be very hard to beat. The next race I think is a bit of a trap race, so I'm going to leave it. Territif, I think, can prove that Bunbury form, you can just throw it out the door form-wise. I think it'll bounce back and be winning. back at the 1400. Deferred, I think, proved to me the other week that I had that query whether it was just a wet tracker, this mare. I don't think she is. I think she's got good ability. Dropping a kilo, drawn well, and meeting very, very similar horses. I think she'll be awfully hard to beat. Bit of value in race 6. I don't mind Queen of Jerusalem at a bit of value. I know it's drawn 13. It'll be going back. It meets Warralea Lass, 2.5 kilos better. That last run really did start to show something in the last couple of 100 metres. It gets that tough map again, but I actually have it in the 3-wide train, and from there it would be some chance of catching them. I think the horse will certainly go forward on Saturday. The Supremacy Stakes, if you can get the favourite beat, good luck to you, yes, Queen. And when we were talking about B. Bardot, whether they bet $2.70, well, they bet $2.40 about this very, very good filly. So you never know. You probably will get the $2.70. I'm going to go against my good mates with Bravo Centurion. I think Joker's Grin, this race sets up beautifully for it. And I think the fly in the ointment, of course, is Ginnivan to the map. I think that's a big red flag for me with Bravo. I'm not knocking the horse. He's a ripper. I just don't like the way it maps out there on Saturday. And in the last, if you can find the last winner, as I said, good luck to you. But I'm going to be going for the horse, the Sectional Star, first try to mile, Angel Undercover from 2, to send Jade McNaught home, a winner on the last.
I've got to ask you this, Russell. What did you think of that form out of that Bunbury meeting?
I had a little bit of a query on it. Look, I love Bunbury. I love the track. I love the people down there. But boy, oh boy, when you're trying to do form and you've got that meeting that is like a red herring, that's why I'd call it a red herring.
I reckon you need a little bit of help with this.
I reckon I need a little bit of
You might have to miss a couple of weeks with personal reasons.
If they go in and talk to me about Fremantle Dockers and that Bunbury race meeting, I need a little bit of assistance.
You know what will happen now, Mart, as well. Horses coming through that meeting will win 9 out.
So what about that text line for Retrovision? What's happened there?
Just one off the text line before we let you go. Fred from Fremantle, 2 in one night for Fred is very, very rare. He's not wearing his glasses tonight and he's onto his 5th VB, so his vision's not great, but he's asking if somebody's painted a traffic cone in red and black with the number 32 on the back and thrown it onto the field.
It's... Yeah.
Oh, they're clever.
Well...
are we taking the Mauler's Mail today?
Yeah, you better give it out.
Okay, straight down the line here. 6-inch heels, Flick the Switch, Terratif, B. Bardot, just St. James as an each-way price. Burnbrae, the half-brother. That's all we have to say there.
He won the other day, Burnbrae, didn't it?
It did. Second win in 27. Yes, Queen, of course, in the Supremacy. Bravo Centurion and Joker's Grin to Quinella. How about that? He's got the old Quinella.
Brave.
And here for checks in the last, drawn well.
Here for checks. Well, there you have it.
And that's what he's here for, the checks.
Has he started to... Is he working his way into Bernie Miller's camp now as well?
Oh, No, I don't think so. Although Bernie...
He could.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, he'd suit Bernie a bit.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by Tab Touch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.